Joanne Rowling, known to the world as J.K. Rowling, was born on July 31, 1965, in a small town in England called Yate. She was the eldest of two daughters in her family. Joanne's sister, Diane, was 2 years younger. Growing up, Joanne was an imaginative and curious child. She loved books and often created stories to entertain her sister. When Joanne was young, her family moved to Winterbourne, another small town. There, she met a brother and sister who lived nearby. Interestingly, the brother's name was Ian Potter. Joanne thought Potter was a fascinating name and tucked it away in her mind. Joanne's love for books grew as she did. She read everything she could find, from fairy tales to adventure stories. Her favorite book as a child was The Little White Horse by Elizabeth Gudge. It was a magical story, and Joanne dreamed of writing stories like that someday. School was not always easy for Joanne. She was shy and often kept to herself. However, she loved English class. Her teachers noticed her talent for writing and encouraged her to keep practicing. Joanne's imagination was her greatest gift. When Joanne was 9, her family moved again, this time to the countryside. Their new home was an old, large house with a mysterious garden. Joanne loved exploring the house and often imagined magical things happening there. As a teenager, Joanne continued writing. She filled notebooks with stories, poems, and ideas. She had big dreams of becoming an author, but she knew it would take hard work. Her parents wanted her to focus on practical jobs like becoming a secretary or teacher. However, Joanne could not give up on her love for writing. In high school, Joanne made a small group of close friends. They shared jokes, stories, and dreams about the future. Joanne's sense of humor often made her friends laugh. Little did they know, she would one day share her stories with the entire world. After high school, Joanne went to Exeter University. She studied French because her parents thought it would help her find a good job. Joanne enjoyed her classes, but she spent most of her free time reading and writing. She also discovered a love for mythology and history, which would later inspire her stories. Life after university was not easy. Joanne worked in different jobs, including as a secretary. However, she found these jobs boring. She often daydreamed about magical worlds and exciting adventures. In her late 20s, Joanne moved to Portugal to teach English. She hoped for a fresh start. While in Portugal, she met and married a man named Jorge. They had a daughter, Jessica. But the marriage did not last, and Joanne returned to England with her baby. Joanne was now a single mother, struggling to make ends meet. She moved to Edinburgh, Scotland, to be near her sister. She had very little money and lived in a small apartment. Life was hard, but Joanne still had her dream of becoming a writer. One day, as Joanne sat in a cafe, an idea popped into her mind. She imagined a young boy with glasses who lived with a family that didn't treat him well. One day, the boy learns he is special and can do magic. His name was Harry Potter. Joanne quickly wrote down her ideas on a napkin. This idea became the start of something incredible. Joanne worked on the story every chance she got. She wrote while Jessica napped or played. Slowly but surely, Harry's magical world began to take shape. Joanne worked tirelessly on her story about Harry Potter. She wrote in cafes, because her small apartment was often too cold. With a cup of coffee and her baby Jessica beside her, she poured her heart into creating a magical world filled with wizards, spells, and adventures. She imagined Hogwarts School of Witchcraft and Wizardry, a place where young wizards and witches could learn magic. Joanne created characters like Hermione Granger and Ron Weasley, Harry's best friends, and Albus Dumbledore, the wise headmaster. Each character had their own unique personality, making the story feel alive. But finishing the book was only the first step. Joanne now faced a new challenge: finding a publisher. She sent her manuscript to many publishers, but they all rejected it. Some said her story was too long, while others believed children wouldn't be interested in wizards. Joanne felt discouraged, but refused to give up. Finally, after a year of trying, a small publisher called Bloomsbury decided to take a chance on her book. The decision was made by the chairman's 8-year-old daughter, who read the first chapter and loved it. She begged her father to publish the story. In 1997, Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone was published in the United Kingdom. Joanne used the name J.K. Rowling instead of Joanne Rowling, because the publisher thought boys might not want to read a book written by a woman. The K stood for Kathleen, her grandmother's name. At first, only a few thousand copies of the book were printed. Joanne didn't expect much, but soon, children and adults began falling in love with Harry Potter's story. People couldn't wait to read about his adventures and life at Hogwarts. As more people discovered the book, its popularity grew. It won awards, and schools started adding it to their reading lists. Libraries were filled with children borrowing copies. Joanne couldn't believe what was happening. Her dream of becoming an author had come true. With the success of the first book, Joanne began writing the second one, Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets. She wanted to continue Harry's story and explore more of the magical world she had created. Writing the sequel was challenging, because she felt the pressure of meeting readers' high expectations. When the second book was published, it was an even bigger success than the first. Readers loved Harry's bravery and his battle against the giant serpent, the basilisk. Joanne's storytelling brought the magical world to life, and fans couldn't get enough. Joanne's life began to change. She was no longer struggling to pay her bills. She could buy a better home for herself and Jessica. She also had more time to focus on her writing. But despite her newfound success, Joanne stayed humble and worked hard on the next book. By the time the third book, Harry Potter and the Prisoner of Azkaban, was released, the series had become a global phenomenon. Children dressed up as Harry, Hermione, and Ron for book release parties. Fans lined up outside bookstores at midnight, eager to get their hands on the new book. Joanne's success inspired people around the world. She had gone from being a struggling single mother to one of the most famous authors in history. But more than that, she gave readers a story filled with friendship, courage, and the power of love. As J.K. Rowling continued writing the Harry Potter series, the books became even more popular. Each new book broke sales records. Fans from every corner of the world eagerly waited to find out what would happen next to Harry and his friends. The fourth book, Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, introduced new characters and more danger. Readers were fascinated by the Triwizard Tournament and the return of the Dark Wizard, Voldemort. The story became darker and more serious, but readers couldn't stop turning the pages. Joanne worked hard to make each book better than the last. She wanted her readers to feel the excitement, sadness, and joy of Harry's journey. She spent hours thinking about every detail, from the spells the wizards used to the history of the magical world. With each book, Joanne faced more pressure. Millions of readers were counting on her to deliver an amazing story. She also had to balance her work with her personal life. Joanne got married to Neil Murray, a doctor, and they had 2 children together. She loved being a mother, but found it challenging to juggle family life and writing. When the 5th book, Harry Potter and the Order of the Phoenix, was released, it was the longest book in the series. Readers loved learning about the secret group fighting against Voldemort, and seeing Harry grow as a leader. Joanne received letters from fans telling her how much the series meant to them. The 6th book, Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, revealed shocking secrets about Voldemort's past and introduced Horcruxes, magical objects that held pieces of Voldemort's soul. Readers were heartbroken by the death of one of their favorite characters, but they couldn't wait to see how the story would end. By the time Joanne began writing the final book, Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the series had become a cultural phenomenon. Movies based on the books were being made, and the actors playing Harry, Hermione, and Ron became stars. The world of Harry Potter was everywhere, in books, movies, toys, and even theme parks. The 7th book was the most challenging for Joanne. She wanted to give her readers a satisfying ending that tied up all the loose ends. Writing the final battle between Harry and Voldemort took months of careful planning. She cried when she wrote the last chapter, feeling both happy and sad that Harry's story was coming to an end. When Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows was published in 2007, it became the fastest-selling book in history. Fans lined up outside bookstores, some dressed as wizards and witches, to buy the book at midnight. The excitement was unlike anything Joanne had ever seen. Readers were thrilled with the ending. They cheered for Harry and his friends as they defeated Voldemort. They celebrated the friendships, bravery, and sacrifices that made the story so special. For many, the Harry Potter series was more than just a story, it was a magical world they could escape to. After finishing the series, Joanne felt a mix of emotions. She was proud of what she had accomplished, but she also missed writing about Harry and his friends. The Harry Potter series had been a huge part of her life for over a decade. Joanne decided to use her fame and success to help others. She started a charity called Lumos, which helps children in orphanages find loving homes. She also continued writing, exploring new genres and creating new stories. After finishing the Harry Potter series, J.K. Rowling's life changed in many ways. She had become one of the most famous authors in the world, but she knew she wanted to keep writing. Joanne was ready to explore new challenges and create stories that were very different from Harry Potter. Her first book for adults, The Casual Vacancy, was published in 2012. It was a story about a small town and the struggles of its people. The book was very different from Harry Potter and received mixed reviews. Some readers loved it, while others missed the magical world Joanne had created before. Joanne didn't let the criticism stop her. She wanted to prove to herself and others that she could write in many styles. Under the pen name Robert Galbraith, she wrote a detective series starting with The Cuckoo's Calling. She chose to use a different name because she wanted the books to be judged on their own, without the fame of her real name influencing readers. When it was revealed that Robert Galbraith was actually J.K. Rowling, sales of the detective book soared. Many readers were excited to see another side of Joanne's writing. The detective series became a success, and Joanne continued writing more books about the clever detective, Cormoran Strike. At the same time, the Harry Potter world continued to grow. The books were turned into 8 movies, which became some of the highest-grossing films in history. Joanne worked closely with the filmmakers to make sure the movies stayed true to her vision. In 2016, Joanne returned to the Harry Potter universe with a new story, Harry Potter and the Cursed Child. It was written as a play, not a novel, and told the story of Harry, Hermione, and Ron as adults. The play focused on Harry's son, Albus, and his struggles to live up to his father's legacy. The play premiered in London and was a huge success. Fans loved seeing their favorite characters again and exploring the next chapter of their lives. Joanne was happy to give her readers another glimpse into the magical world they loved so much. Joanne also worked on a new film series, Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them. The movies were set in the same magical world as Harry Potter, but took place many years earlier. They told the story of Newt Scamander, a wizard who cared for magical creatures. Joanne wrote the screenplays herself, enjoying the chance to bring her stories directly to the big screen. Despite her busy career, Joanne remained dedicated to helping others. Through her charity, Lumos, she worked to improve the lives of children around the world. She also donated millions of dollars to other causes, including education and healthcare. Joanne believed that her success gave her the responsibility to make the world a better place. Over the years, Joanne faced challenges and controversies, but she remained strong. She continued to write, create, and inspire millions of readers. Her journey from a struggling single mother to one of the most successful authors in history is a story of resilience, imagination, and hard work. Today, J.K. Rowling's legacy lives on through her books, movies, and the magical world she created. Her stories continue to inspire readers of all ages to dream big, believe in themselves, and embrace the power of imagination.